In the last couple of weeks, we've seen quite a few different tech conferences coming from California, specifically focusing on artificial intelligence. They all started off with OpenAI and their brand new GPT-4o model. Then the very next day, Google had their conference where they discussed Gemini, Gemma, and all the different use cases that they use those models in, such as Android. And the very next week, Microsoft presented their concept of Copilot plus PC at their summer event. And in this group of tech companies, we're missing one big name. And since you've clicked on this video, you already know that we're talking about Apple. And Apple was very specific about never mentioning anything to do with artificial intelligence or AI for that matter in any of their previous conferences. And this is about to change. However, when I say AI, I don't actually mean artificial intelligence. And you'll find out what I'm talking about in just a few seconds. So let's dive in, just as the team at Apple have done.
It's showtime.
Yes, they filmed this very cinematic entree to their WWDC event this year. And now for the great reveal of what AI actually is, what we've been talking about this whole time. It actually isn't artificial intelligence. It is... So before we jump in, let me just dissect this whole event. So as Apple WWDC events usually go, they talk about iOS, macOS, watchOS, iPadOS, visionOS these days. Did I mention macOS? And that's the way it usually goes. But this year, things are a little bit different. Of course, they went through all those different operating systems that they have created. But the main topic of this year's conference is obviously Apple Intelligence, which is going to be used throughout their ecosystem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore all the different changes that they've done to their operating systems, which are not AI related. And I'm only going to focus on the ones, well, which are. So the first notion of AI was actually in terms of the iPad OS. And a little bit of history for you is that the original iPad hit the shelves in 2010, which is 14 years ago. And guess how long it took them to deliver a calculator application to the iPad, where it was always on the iPhone? Correct, 14 years. And maybe it's the right time to actually present it, because the calculator application is not the standard app that you have on your iPhone. It's way more complicated, and it does use artificial intelligence to help you solve your problems. So you can obviously use it as a calculator where you click your digits, you click the operators, and you get your results. But what you can also do is click on the Math Notes button, pull out your Apple Pencil, and start writing away your operations. In the moment you type out the equals sign, the operation will be computed by the system, and you can still perform additional operations on top of that. So as you can see, we've now divided by 2 and now pulled out the logarithm of that operation, and it automatically updates the results. But you can still go further. You can also do physics exercises where you have all the different variables set up and write down your equations, and iPadOS will compute the results, like in this little table tennis example. Now, still in the iPadOS part of the keynote, and since we already have the Apple Pencil in our hands, let's look at how the Notes application has changed and how iPadOS is altering our handwriting to make it a bit more clear, but still consistent with the way we write.
We use a powerful on-device machine learning model to recreate your handwriting style from your notes, which unlocks new capabilities. Just scribble your thoughts as fast as you have them, and SmartScript refines your handwriting as you go. It's still your own writing, but it looks smoother, straighter, and more legible. SmartScript further accelerates your writing flow by making handwriting just as flexible as typed text. Now you can just paste typed text into a handwritten note, and it will appear in your own style. Spell check works just as you would expect and fixes mistakes in line. When you decide you need to add to something you've already written, just tap and hold with your Apple Pencil and your text will flow out of the way to create more space. If you want to erase something, you can just scratch it out. Smart Script makes your handwritten notes more effective, fluid, and easier to read.
If that comes out to my iPad, I'm probably going to cancel my subscription to any third-party note-taking applications because this really solves a lot of my problems when writing notes. Now we're finally in the iPhone part of the conference, and what we've learned is that the system will prioritize our notifications based on what's inside of them. So if there's something important, those notifications will show up at the top of our list. Here's a demo.
For example, your iPhone can prioritize your notifications to minimize unnecessary distractions while ensuring you don't miss something important. Apple Intelligence also powers brand new writing tools that you can access system-wide to feel more confident in your writing. Writing tools can rewrite, proofread, and summarize text for you, whether you're working on an article or blog post, condensing ideas to share with your classmates, or looking over a review before you post it online.
Now those text operations aren't anything really new to us because we've seen ChatGPT, we've seen Gemini, we've seen Notion AI, and all of those are models which are capable of doing those operations on text. But now that this is embedded in an operating system, which is on your phone, on your computer, on your watch, well, maybe not your watch, but on your iPad, this will change the way you interact with your text and how you can speed up your process of writing and reading text. So that's a huge win for Apple users, in my opinion. Since we've spoken about text generation and text analysis, well, the next step, obviously, as we've seen with the example of OpenAI, is image generation. So that's exactly what Apple has decided to do as well.
From photos to emojis and GIFs, it's so much fun to express ourselves visually. And now you can create totally original images to make everyday conversations even more enjoyable. And because Apple Intelligence understands the people in your photo library, you can personalize these images for your conversations. So, when you wish a friend a happy birthday, you can create an image of them surrounded by cake, balloons, and flowers to make it extra festive. And the next time you tell mom that she's your hero, you can send an image of her in a superhero cape to really land your point. You can create images in 3 unique styles: sketch, illustration, and animation. In addition to messages, this experience is built into apps throughout the system, like Notes, Freeform, Keynote, and Pages.
So that's all fun and games. We can create our little doodles, send them to our friends, add emojis into our conversations. But the interesting part is about how the OS on both your iPhone, Mac, iPad can actually connect the dots of your actual context of what you've been writing, what you've been creating, what kind of files are stored in your device, and how it can take actions based on those resources.
For taking actions is already in your pocket with the apps you use every day. And we have designed Apple Intelligence so it can tap into these tools and carry out tasks on your behalf. So you can say things like, pull up the files that Jaws shared with me last week, or show me all the photos of Mom, Olivia, and me, or play the podcast that my wife sent the other day. We're designing Apple Intelligence to be able to orchestrate these and hundreds of other actions for you, so you can accomplish more while saving time. There's one more critical building block for personal intelligence, and that's an understanding of your personal context. Apple Intelligence is grounded in your personal information and context, with the ability to retrieve and analyze the most relevant data from across your apps, as well as to reference the content on your screen, like an email or calendar event you're looking at. This can be incredibly useful in so many moments throughout the day. Suppose one of my meetings is being rescheduled for late in the afternoon, and I'm wondering if it's going to prevent me from getting to my daughter's play performance on time. Apple Intelligence can process the relevant personal data to assist me. It can understand who my daughter is, the play details she sent several days ago, the time and location for my meeting, and predicted traffic between my office and the theater. Understanding this kind of personal context is essential for delivering truly helpful intelligence.
So up until now, I was very excited about all the AI changes in the systems because, well, it sounds pretty great. I mean, you can perform actions, you can do a lot of text analysis and generation. Images, I'm not particularly keen on, but it all sounds like a good package. And then they hit us with the M processors and the A17 Pro. And what that means is that the AI functionality will only be available to users who have Macs or iPads with M-core processors, so the Apple Silicon processors, and people with phones with the A17 Pro processors and higher. And what that means is only iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max users. So even if you've bought an iPhone 15, which is the current model of the iPhone, you won't be able to use AI on it. So basically, Apple has rejected iPhone 15 and all the different iPhones before that from using AI, which is, well, that kind of sucks, to be honest. And so that kind of makes sense that you need all that processing power and RAM to go through all your files and information. However, as they mentioned further on in the conference, is that there are a couple of levels to the AI that they're using on the device. So part of it happens directly on your phone. So it's offline, it happens on your phone, and it doesn't need to connect to any servers. The next part is connecting to the Apple AI Cloud, and they called it the private cloud compute. And so they mentioned a lot about the security of that cloud, how we're not sending any information outside of the Apple ecosystem of the stuff that you're sending from your phone into their servers and backwards. So that was kind of reassuring. So now we have the two levels of AI, the local on your phone and the remote on the cloud. So we have all those different interactions between our applications on our devices, right? What I think is that we need a good system to actually communicate between them. And there's one contender for that, and it's been absolutely useless for the last 12 years. And I've only used it to set my timers and alarm clocks on. And of course, I'm talking about Siri, but this year brings a lot of hopefully great changes to that assistant. So we have a couple of things which, in my opinion, should have been there in the first place, or at least a couple of iterations after the original Siri came out, like keeping context. I mean, it's not that complicated. I've played with chatbots way before we had this whole AI revolution going on right now, and keeping context was one of the things that those chatbots were basically capable of doing. So it was always a bit surprising to me that Siri just couldn't do that. It seems like a very basic thing for an assistant like that to do. The other thing that really surprised me was that it took them 12 years to bring the choice whether you want to text Siri or if you want to use your voice to talk to her. There are a lot of cases where I want to contact Siri over text, and a lot of cases when I want to contact her over voice, like when I want to understand what song I'm listening to in a shop. I don't specifically want to pull out my phone and say, hey, what song is this? And pull out my phone up in the ceiling. I'd rather text and find out or click a button. So it's kind of strange that it took them so long to actually bring this very simple feature.
Even if I stumble over my words, Siri understands what I'm getting at. What does the weather look like for tomorrow at Muir Beach? Oh wait, I meant Muir Woods.
The forecast is calling for clear skies in the morning near Muir Woods National Monument.
Sometimes it takes me a beat to figure out what I actually want to ask Siri, and now it follows right along. Siri also maintains conversational context, so I can follow up and say, create an event for a hike there tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Hike is scheduled for 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on June 11th.
I didn't have to mention Muir Woods again. Siri understood what I meant when I said there. There are also certain times when you might not want to speak to Siri out loud. What's great is that now, at any time, you have the option to type to Siri. With just a double tap at the bottom of the screen, I can quickly and quietly ask Siri to set an alarm. And you can switch between text and voice, communicating in whatever way feels right for the moment.
Now, one of my favorite features is on-screen awareness, and that is going to change things a lot because basically Siri will know what's going on your screen and it will be able to react to those new circumstances.
For one, Apple Intelligence will provide Siri with on-screen awareness, so it'll be able to understand and take action with things on your screen. For example, say a friend texts you his new address. Right from the messages thread, you can say, add this address to his contact card. And Siri will take care of it. Siri will also understand more of the things you get done in your apps. And with new orchestration capabilities provided by Apple Intelligence, Siri will take actions inside apps on your behalf. Siri will have the ability to take hundreds of new actions in and across apps, including some that leverage our new writing and image generation capabilities. For example, you'll be able to say, show me my photos of Stacy in New York wearing her pink coat. and Siri will bring those right up. Then you might say, make this photo pop, and Siri will enhance it, just like that. And Siri will be able to take actions across apps. So you could say, add this to my note with Stacy's bio, and it will jump from the Photos app to the Notes app to make it happen. This is going to bring us closer to realizing our vision in which Siri moves through the system in concert with you.
And since we have Apple Intelligence and Siri all together, we can go through our files, go through our messages, and interact with them over Siri without even tapping the screen, which is kind of great, and I think it's going to be a pretty powerful tool.
You'll be able to ask Siri to find something when you can't remember if it was in an email, a text, or a shared note, like some book recommendations that a friend sent you a while back. Or for times when you're filling out a form and need to input your driver's license, Siri will be able to find a photo of your license, extract your ID number, and type it into the form for you.
Let's have another look at the text capabilities of the new operating systems.
Let's use Mail to take a closer look at how the system-wide writing tools can help you communicate even more effectively. Rewrite gives you different versions of what you've written, so you can choose the one you like best. This is great for making sure your cover letter for that job you're excited for lands perfectly. And suggestions are shown in line, so you can go with a combination of flow and wording that works for you. Rewrite also helps you get the tone right. Have you ever reread a work email that you just wrote and thought, oh, this might not go over well? Well, now you can change the tone of that response to your colleague to make it sound more friendly, professional, or concise. You can also describe how you'd like it rewritten. For example, you can invite your friends to a get-together with a one-of-a-kind invitation, written as a poem. Who could say no to that? Another way writing tools can help you is with proofread. Say you're emailing your English professor. With proofread, you can nail grammar, word choice, and sentence structure to put your best foot forward. You can review suggested edits and their explanations individually, or accept them all with a click. And if you're about to email a project status that has gotten quite long, use Summarize to bring out the key points, and then add them as a TLDR right at the top. In addition to Mail, you can access writing tools system-wide, nearly everywhere you write, including third-party apps. Apple Intelligence also powers Smart Reply in Mail. For example, when you need to RSVP to an event, you will now see suggestions for your response based on the email. If you say you'll be there, Mail identifies questions you were asked in the invite and offers intelligent selections so you can quickly choose your responses. Your drafted response incorporates your answers. So with just a few taps, you're ready to send it off with all the right details. Finally, let's talk about how Apple Intelligence helps you stay on top of a busy inbox. We all deal with sorting through a ton of email every day. And now it's easier and faster than ever to browse your inbox. Instead of previewing the first few lines of each email that don't always convey the most useful information, you can now see summaries visible right from your email list. So without even opening the email, you'll know that your team is meeting on Thursday to discuss a new design. And if you jump into a particularly long email when you're in a hurry, you can tap to reveal a summary at the top of the email and cut right to the chase.
And one thing which, for whatever reason, is very important to Apple for the last couple of years is emojis and memojis and now Genmojis. So now you can generate your emojis using prompts and actions.
Thousands of emoji to choose from. There are times when you can't quite find the right one for how you feel. So we're introducing Genmoji. Leveraging the power of Apple Intelligence, you can create Genmoji on device right in the keyboard and match any moment perfectly. Just provide a description and you'll see your Genmoji appear right before your eyes, along with more options to choose from. This is great in those times when you're updating a friend about your relaxing weekend, getting the group chat excited about brunch, or complaining about the rowdy squirrel right outside your window. And because Apple Intelligence is aware of who's in your photo library, you can simply pick someone and create a Genmoji that looks just like them. These are perfect for sharing with friends as a sticker, reacting to messages with a tap back, and you can even add Genmoji inline in your messages.
And since we're in this more artistic parts of the presentation, let's have a look at another tool called the Image Wand, which basically allows you to generate images based on the context and your doodles.
Image Wand can transform a rough sketch into a polished image that complements your notes and makes them more visual. And it's available right in your tool palette. Suppose you want a better image for your architectural history course. With Image Wand, you can circle your rough sketch using Apple Pencil to open up an image playground within your note. Image Wand uses on-device intelligence to analyze your sketch and words and creates an image for you.
And another classic case of Apple catching up with the competition is finally coming up with a way of removing unwanted elements from your photos, which by now I know as the magic eraser from Google, and they've come up with a slightly different name for that.
We've all had that time when we thought we got the perfect shot and realized later it wasn't quite perfect. Now, the new cleanup tool will identify distracting objects in the background so you can make them disappear without accidentally changing your subject. Plus, searching for photos and videos is much more convenient because you can now use natural language phrases. So you can search for really specific things, like Maya skateboarding in a tie-dye shirt, or Katie with stickers on her face. Search in videos is also more powerful, with the ability to find a particular moment in the middle of a video clip. So you can go right to the relevant segment when you search for that video of Maria cartwheeling on the grass.
And the last bit I wanted to tell you about is the third level of Apple Intelligence. So we've had the local Apple Intelligence that happens on your device specifically. Then we have the second one where we actually communicate with the cloud. And the last level is, surprise, surprise, actually using ChatGPT. So in some cases, when you're asking Siri a specific question, which would be solved easily using ChatGPT, you'll be prompted to actually move over to ChatGPT. And so if you're lucky enough to have one of those devices compatible with Apple Intelligence, you'll have an OpenAI account created automatically for you. And basically, whenever needed, you will be prompted whether you would like your question to be answered by ChatGPT. And the version, of course, will be 4.0, which is the brand new latest one, which has been revealed a couple of weeks ago in that OpenAI conference.
So we're integrating them right into your experiences. And we're starting out with the best of these, the pioneer and market leader ChatGPT from OpenAI, powered by GPT-4o. First, we build support into Siri, so Siri can tap into ChatGPT's expertise when it might be helpful for you. For example, if you need menu ideas for an elaborate meal to make for friends using some freshly caught fish and ingredients from your garden, you can just ask Siri. Siri determines that ChatGPT might have good ideas for this, asks your permission to share your question, and presents the answer directly.
So that would be all in terms of the Apple WWDC conference, in terms of the AI parts of it. And so I'm quite excited to see how the Apple devices will stack up against the Android devices, which have been using artificial intelligence for a bit of time now. So I guess we'll find out about that in a couple of months. And so I'll leave you to it, and I'll see you in the very next video, hopefully very, very soon. Take care.